right now.
Oh, and the Schlieffen too. All right.
In the Schlieffen.
So for those of you who don't know what the Schlieffen is, and this thing is the new secondary monster. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll just go over the downsides very quickly. It doesn't have a lot of armor, like plating. It's 27, and it has a very low HP pool, 76,600 hit points. And that's about all the weaknesses it has. Okay, besides the low gun count. But there are several important features about this ship that make it extremely strong as a brawler. For one thing, it has a very low concealment range of 12.6 kilometers when fully built, and its secondary range reaches out to 12.5 kilometers. The other thing is that it has a very large secondary battery. It's comprised of 12 twin 105mm dual-purpose mounts, 6 per side, and 8 twin 150mm casement mounts, 4 per side. It also has very durable armor. Surprisingly, for a battlecruiser, it's a lot of dispersed armor. It's kind of difficult to citadel, although if you catch a full broadside in a turn and you have a big enough gun, you are going to citadel it. This does not have a turtle back, keep in mind.
Nope.
And the other thing is, it does also have lots of torpedoes. It has 16 torpedoes, 8 per side, and 2 quadruple launchers. Yes, they only do 50 knots, but they do have 13.5 kilometers of range, and more importantly, the firing angles mean that if somebody gets too close, you can shotgun people with these torpedoes if you time it just right. And you're probably noticing what that fourth turret is doing. The fourth turret, the Y turret, on all German battlecruisers from Tier 6 onwards can rotate 360 degrees. That gives you that extra turret on demand when you need it if you're pushing.
It does come in handy when you need to switch sides from the left to the right or right to left. At the same time, it can cause problems because, well, frankly, you're expecting or you're used to, having to rotate all your turrets. And so, in a typical battleship where you've got 4 turrets, 2 of them are rotated one way and you're thinking to yourself, I got to sweep the other ones around. But in this one, you don't worry so much about that. And that 4th turret really trolls the hell out of you because you think you're going to be able to shoot with it, and you don't, and you already start turning it back, and that's probably the most frustrating part of playing that ship, in my opinion.
Definitely. But it's not like Schlieffen doesn't have other strengths too. It does have more strengths, surprisingly, as a battlecruiser. For example, it is also one of the fastest ships at Tier 10. It has a base speed of 34.1 knots, which is, I think, the highest base speed of any of the Tier 10 battleships. I don't even think Borgonia is like the next fastest at 32, I believe.
Of the Tier 10s, yeah.
Well, the Tier 10s, it is the fastest.
Good hit there.
And okay, that was a pretty good hit on the Moskva. And the other thing is, it's not that you can't neglect the guns either. It still has 8 420mm guns. Yes, these are World War I rifles. That doesn't matter because it still hits fairly hard with the main battery. The
Absolutely.
Other thing is, it also has a German Hydro, which... Oh, that Nevsky just got brutalized, by the way. And, that's the other thing. This German Hydro means that it's difficult for destroyers to torpedo you, and the other thing is, you can use that Hydro and you can peek destroyers in their smoke, which means, combined with that giant secondary battery, it is extremely good at shredding BBs down.
Yep. So, I want to go back to one of the things that you mentioned a moment ago, when you were talking about the characteristics of the Schlieffen, and that is the secondary range and the concealment. Because of the fact that they are 1/10 of a kilometer apart, what that essentially means is you can almost stealth secondary something. So what that essentially, if you aren't shooting your guns and you come up and you're undetected and you say you've got that Montana in front of you or something like that, you can wait until you get detected, and just after that, you can fire your secondaries. It also means that if you are running away from the enemy, it's very easy to kite away because you can just crap out your secondaries on them for days. You can actually almost be concealed running away, can't you? Hey, Gary, how you doing?
Especially with the destroyer.
Take a look at this daring, by the way. He peaks. Look how fast the secondaries are melting him down. That's the
Yep.
advantage of having so many barrels per side and having such rapid fire ones. Okay, so yeah, there goes the daring. And now look at this
Yep.
Montana. Now, if SFNL is running IFHE on his secondaries, actually, is he?
He should be,
SF?
because that's
Should.
the best idea.
Because, and that's why. And there's reason for this. The 105mm secondaries, yes, they have quarter pen, but they only pen 26mm of armor without IFHE. Taking IFHE means, yes, you've got your fire chance, but, well, first of all, you're throwing out some of the secondary shells, it doesn't matter.
And you got loot yens on it. Oh, the memes, the memes.
Oh, and yes, you can spec. And the other advantage of Schlieffen, as Zap just mentioned, you can spec merchants on. And look at that secondary counter go. That Montana is having such a fun day. Just
Well, Lutyens is great on any ship, right? That's one of the things that's so great about him as a captain is the talents really apply to any ship possible. So, you know, obviously SF has chosen to put him on the Schlieffen, and makes perfect sense why, because now he's got a boost to his secondary reload.
This is just funny
And-
to watch. It's just a curtain of secondaries.
Citadeling a Montana. So you citadeled a ship that was designed basically at the end of World War II with World War I guns. Balance, comrade.
Balance. And SF just walked into the sea cap and he killed 2 ships. That's the power.
Yeah.
And you can just run at people, and what can they do? I mean, besides, like, if you want to take a straight one-on-one fight with a Schlieffen, you have to be very brave. I will just say that. Because between the secondary battery, the torpedoes, the speed, the concealment, the armor, Schlieffen is arguably one of the strongest tier 10 battleships right now. And it's about Cruiser. And this poor Minotaur.
Oh yeah, he just took it down. He just took it down. Like, that's it.
Bye.
Now, of course, there is one other thing to know about the Schlieffen's main battery. It is not the be-all and all, right? Like, you're thinking, oh, it's got so many strengths, it has
Hey, Big-O.
speed, armor, concealment. There is a problem with the main guns, besides the fact that they are very old rifles. It has battlecruiser dispersion, but it's only 8 guns, and they have 1.7 Sigma. Now, that doesn't sound like much of a problem, because it's really the consistency, right? Because that's what Sigma is, as I described earlier, like last time. The problem is, though, you only have 8 guns at a tier where, you know, even Slava has 9, and then everybody else is like, okay, yes, Republic has 8 guns, but first of all, they reload faster. Second, they overmatch 30mm of armor, and they have way longer range.
Stoney, I do agree with you. I mean, if people shoot at it, it does kind of melt relatively quickly, as mentioned earlier with the armor scheme. The problem is if you just ignore it or allow it to run rampant, like what SF's doing right now. I mean, you know, here we go. Here we go. Secondary duel.
Ohio versus Schlieffen.
Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen. Who's going to win this engagement?
My money's on SF.
Well, yeah, he sent the replay. Look at the turn.
Look how quickly this ship turns. Just, like I said, 34.1 knots, and it has extremely good handling too.
And cue the Euro.
Yeah.
Oh, not quite cue the Euro beat. So.
Look at the curve first. Shoot the curve first. All right, now focus on the Ohio. Start healing. There you go. It's like people freak out and try to run and die. Yes.
Now, the Ohio in theory should win this because it does overmatch SF's armor through the nose. But the thing is, the Schlieffen's 27mm sections are actually really small. That's what people think, like, oh, it's got 27mm armor, it's not that strong. But if you take a look at how much damage SF just took from the Ohio's 2 turrets, Schlieffen has quite a lot of armor.
But he angled and he forced the Ohio to shoot him on the belt.
And that's the thing. Schlieffen has a distributed armor that allows it to tank those kinds of shots.
Oh! Big hit there, though. And he doesn't even need the torpedoes. Oh, my God.
Oh, that was a pretty big hit from the Ohio. And the double citadel under the turret for the Kraken.
He opened a little bit too much there, I think. you know, if you're gonna fire off your torpedoes to get the kill, that's cool. But you know, you also want to be prepared for that. You can't. I think that was perfect because it demonstrated the weakness at the same time, how much damage he just took from that. So what's cool about this is, the enemy teammate just torped his dead wreck of a ship, but that's cool. Because look at this death pick. We're gonna have some fun with this, guys.
Oh yeah.
You better believe death pick. You better believe death.
First death pick of the year.
The year just started. Hello?
It just started, but I'll tell you what, that's a beautiful shot right there.
Right.
It's first, not best.
And I gotta wait for the color to come back. There we go. I mean, wow.
Look at that.
Wow, Star-Lord. Nice death pick. Damn right. Hello, by the way. How are you doing?
And
Hope you're having a good day.
I think, honestly, that's just a perfect summation of Schlieffen's strengths and weaknesses, and applying those strengths properly while mitigating those weaknesses as best as you can. And
Yes.
a lot of people say that, oh, you know, you can't, if you mitigate, you can mitigate all your weaknesses if you're a really good player. No, you can't, because at the end of the day, it's not just you that's playing the game, it's also the ship you're playing, and every single ship has its own inherent strengths and weaknesses. What separates your average Joe like me from, you know, someone that's really good, like say SF, for example, is how you understand those strengths and weaknesses and how you apply them and how you overcome those weaknesses.
You're welcome, Star-Lord. The one thing I want to mention real quick that SF did really well here, and I haven't seen him do in other replays that I've covered, is he did a really nice job of changing course. And that might go back to what you were talking about earlier in regards to that last turret. You don't need to hold course as much in this ship because you have 3 turrets that will always be on target as opposed to just 2. If it's a standard battleship with 4 turrets that's constantly switching sides back and forth, right? So that did give SF the flexibility to make those 90-degree angled turns here and there, and he dodged an awful lot of incoming hate as a result. I mean, he finally did succumb to Holland torpedoes, but I think you guys would agree he made a really good show of it.
Yeah, he made them work for that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that's really what, you know, really good players do. They take the strengths of the ship and they maximize them. And you know, that's just a perfect demonstration of what Schlieffen can do. Albeit, now you can make the Schlieffen work even harder, as we've seen, you know, BFK and Bo do with their Vampire 2 divisions. And Schlieffen War is just like, let's just walk at people and you're just raining down a cloud of secondaries, which is always funny. But the real trick with the ship is applying it in a solo match, just like SF did. And if you get results like that, that's really just a demonstration of maximizing the abilities of the ship while also mitigating the weaknesses.
Well, right. And so for some of you guys who don't know, I asked, and I actually put this on my own personal calendar, the last day for Snowflake